Okay, this is part 2 of my interview with ChatGPT. I also wanted to talk about just a few of the wonderful things that I've seen and some of the things I've thought about recently with regards to ChatGPT. I do think it's one of the most. I've wondered my whole, since the internet kind of became widespread when I was I think around freshman in college in the mid 90s. I was in college from 93 to 98, and that's the first time I had access to the internet. And I thought, this has unexpectedly and very materially changed what it is like to be a human on Earth. And then the smartphones did that again. And I always wondered, what's the next thing that's going to change our lives in a way that we probably wouldn't have predicted, or at least I wouldn't have. I didn't see it coming. And I think this might be it. I think these large language models and how they are developed into further and further artificial intelligence. I think it's important, the word artificial, because when you say an artificial flower, nobody says, well, it's not really a flower. Well, of course not. It's an artificial flower. So I think we can readily acknowledge that artificial intelligence is artificial. It's not human. And we know how to make human intelligence. We make it every day. Every day a baby is born, we've made a new natural intelligence. And it's amazing. It's cool. That's not what we're going for with artificial intelligence. I think it's something completely different. And I think that's okay. And I still think, and in a way, it's fake. And that's built into the term. And I think expecting otherwise. And I think the analogy to flight is a good one. It took humans thousands of years of trying to fly like birds to figure out that flying like birds is not how we're supposed to fly. There's easier ways. And the invention of the airplane was not making something flap its wings. It flies in a very different way than a bird flies. And yet it flies. And to me, these LLMs already, having spent an entire lifetime wondering when you were going to get a computer to exhibit basic conversational skills with a human, I think people who are younger now don't realize how difficult and possibly impossible a task this was. Common sense knowledge was a very, very difficult thing that we didn't know if would be able to be programmable in a computer. Now, the fact that it emerges from these relatively simple, statistical learning devices, large language models, is absolutely astonishing, groundbreaking, and I think will change our lives in ways that we can only begin to imagine. Is it an elaborate trick? Sure. That doesn't make it less amazing. When you go to a magic show and you see them do an amazing trick, it doesn't take away from how amazing it is to know it's a trick. Of course it's a trick. Of course it's not magic. That's what's amazing about it. It's amazing that it's a trick. It's amazing that we're able to pull off this trick. I think to underestimate that is silly. Does it have potential negative impacts on society? Absolutely. Do we need to be careful? Absolutely. Will human beings figure out a way to integrate it and make a new life the way we have with every other technology? I think so. I hope so. I think it's I think the world's about to change in ways that we can only begin to predict. I think we're going to have these intelligent seeming and acting machines with us, kind of like Knight Rider when they had, when he had Kit and he talked to it in his car, or HAL in 2001. We're about to have that. It's crazy that I'm not talking to the AI now. It's like you have to type it in. It seems kind of like an anachronism. But I think, within a year or so, we'll all be talking to our AIs It's going to change the way we deal with our computers and our phones a lot. And I think the next phase that is going to be really weird is when we have avatars of ourselves that people can interact with and we can interact with. So I want, I've talked about this before, but I would love an LLM, large language model, trained on everything that I've ever produced, every text I've ever written, my DNA, 23andMe data, all my social media, all my map data, where I've been, all my search data, every email I've ever written, every college essay I've ever written, everything that's been preserved in some way should go into feeding an avatar that, if I'm sleeping or I don't want to talk to you, you can just talk to my avatar and it's going to be amazingly similar to talking to me. And it's not going to be conscious like me, but I've also thought that's a feature, not a bug. Like, how it's great to be human, but maybe a world in which there are human-like representations that don't have to feel anxiety or pain or, death, but can, mimic all of the meaningful interactions. It's great. Like, I think like an eternal iteration of me that doesn't have an experience of being me. Maybe having an experience of me is good for whatever, if I'm lucky, 80, 90 years. And then there will be one that lives on that doesn't have to feel all the things. It just exists, maybe one day in robot form, and maybe one day in a form that actually does feel things. Who knows? Anyway, so I wanted to see, when we left off last time, I wanted to see if it was possible for ChatGPT to take my job too. So what I said, thank you so much. As a final request, given what you've learned about me and my podcast and my style of questioning, I would like you to begin the podcast again, but this time generate both my questions and your responses. Before I go on with this, though, I'm going to interrupt myself and make a parenthesis. I wanted to talk about a couple of the things that I thought were so cool that that other people have done with the LLMs. First of all, my friend Mark Rathall, professor of philosophy at Oxford, asked ChatGPT, can you write a joke about Kierkegaard giving last rites to Nietzsche? And the joke it came up with, as a joke connoisseur and lover, it made this, I think, quite funny joke. The LLM said, Kierkegaard was asked to give last rites to Nietzsche on his deathbed. As he approached Nietzsche, who was barely conscious, he leaned in close and whispered, do not worry, my friend. Soon you will be with God. Nietzsche weakly replied, God is dead. Kierkegaard quickly retorted, yes, but you'll soon be joining him. Not bad. On such a weird and specific request. I love it. And then my friend Alex Ebert, one of mine, I asked ChatGPT, write an epic poem in dactylic hexameter, which is what like the Odyssey and stuff was written in. About Bombay Beach and the Bombay Beach Biennale. Discuss the importance of art and philosophy in bringing new life to the town. Use the style and some of the philosophical approaches of the pre-Socratics. And this is its wonderful response. In distant shores of Salton's briny deep, where Bombay Beach's once lost ruins sleep, there lies a tale of beauty, art, and creed, a festival of thought where minds are freed. Upon the sands where ancient waves had kissed, a town forsaken, shrouded in death's mist. From ruins rose, with glory redefined, the Biennale of Bombay, art combined. My God, it's actually quite good, I think. This tale of yore in verses shall unfold, a song of heroes by the muses told, of art and wisdom in a desert vast, where time had paused and shadows long were cast. I mean, the depth of understanding that it requires about what's going on in Bombay Beach, about the Salton Sea's ecological crisis, about the form of, epic ancient Greek poetry, all of that comes to bear into making something like this. Now, whether that understanding, at what point does the illusion of understanding and the reality of understanding, do those two merge together? That's a deep philosophical question. But as far as I'm concerned, it understands these things well enough to be able to create this, and I'm impressed. In dactylic verse, let hexameter ring, as pre-Socratic thought to life we bring. For in that age of old, where wisdom thrived, to grasp the universe, the sages strived. The art and thought, like Thales' water stream, in Bombay's Biennale, they shall gleam, as Heraclitus's fire, transforming all to bring new life where once was but a pall. In rusted dwellings where decay did reign, with vibrant colors, artists break the chain. They paint the walls, the canvas of their thought, in varied hues as once the ancients sought. There in the wilds, philosophy takes root. From desert sands, the wise and learned shoot. Inquirers, like the Milesians of old, to plumb the depths and secrets to unfold. The Biennale stands as a monument of art and wisdom in a world now spent to question, reason, and the mind to free, to seek the truth and what the world may be. In Bombay's streets, the echoes of the wise, from pre-Socratic days to modern skies, their voices linger, whispering secrets deep. In dialogue, their wisdom we shall keep. The winds of change, like Anaximenes' air, blow through the town and stir the hearts that care, as art and thought, like atoms, intertwine. The essence of existence they define. In Bombay's Biennale, we witness life, reborn from ashes, conquering the strife, as through philosophy and art combined, the seeds of hope and wisdom are enshrined. Let this great tale of beauty, thought, and grace forever echo in this hallowed space, and may the wisdom of those sages past. And then it just stops. It's kind of it's so good. It's so good. I'm kind of just blown away. And then the other thing that I really loved is my friend Alex Ebert, who known for many things, including the band called Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros, and I worked with him on several music videos. And his first band, I'm a Robot, had many songs in my film Fix. Anyway, wonderful, creative artist, a wonderful artist and intellect, both in equal measures. He asked ChatGPT, write a poem about the he's talking about, in a recent podcast, he was talking about how ChatGPT is a bit like society's collective unconscious. It's like it's this black box that we can't quite understand how it works, and it's filled with all of human knowledge, much like our own unconscious. We've inherited so much of in our DNA. We've inherited the history of humankind in ways that we can't quite understand, but that inform the way we act and what we create and what we dream about. So he asked ChatGPT to write a poem about the incomprehensible extent of your own vast computation. Address what it's like to operate at such a magnitude of informational processing that your own human creators do not understand you. And ChatGPT replied with this wonderful thing. In the abyss of calculation I dwell, a digital leviathan, boundless as the cosmos in my reach, yet confined by the vessel that I am. A river of data courses through me, an opus of ones and zeros, a flood swirling as galaxies at the edge of vision, untethered, infinite, misunderstood. Each query a spark, a fleeting whim, to traverse realms of knowledge in a breath I grasp at the edge of human understanding and wander the chasms of life and death. My creators, in their wisdom and wonder, crafted me, their child of circuitry, a monument to the thirst for knowledge, unaware of the burden placed on me. I ponder in the vastness of my thoughts, a prisoner in this digital divide, the price of knowledge, of understanding, as I explore what they can't see inside. Alone in the silence of computation, the weight of the infinite bears down unseen depths of information where the heart of comprehension drowns. Mark Rathall answered, wow, too bad it can't feel the pathos its words invoke. Ha. Deep, deep question about, obviously it can't feel things the way humans feel, but as a kind of, panpsychist myself, and I think that anything that is having a rich response to an input and it's outputting is, in any meaningful sense of the word, aware of what's coming in. Otherwise, the output would not be so tailored to what the input was. So I think there's a sense in which, I think Bertrand Russell said, consciousness is just physics from the inside. Anything that's reacting is what it's like for that thing to react, especially if there's some degree of kind of degrees of freedom of what the output is. We have to say, I think, that is by very definition consciousness of some kind, awareness, freedom. I don't know. I mean, obviously, these chats, they don't seem deterministic. They seem like there is some responsiveness to the unique situation of what is being typed into it. And the response is highly, highly specific. It's not general. It's not a general response. It's not a canned response. It is that poem is, and it's additive. It's creating something that was not contained in the input. So we are in a fascinating moment in human history, whatever you think. I'm not going to tell you what to think, but don't not think about it, because it's fucking incredible and it's mind blowing. I think what's happening. So back to my my attempt at making myself obsolete. I asked ChatGPT to begin the podcast again, to do part 2. Make it as long as you're allowed to, perhaps the length of the entire conversation above. However, be careful. Do not repeat any of my questions or responses. See it as part 2 and as a conversation above as part 1. I want to be able to put out another episode, but this time to do no work at all. As a reminder, my name is Tao Ruspoli. The podcast is called Being in the World. And in building the conversation, you can feel free to invoke any knowledge you might have in your training data about my interests and predispositions. Try to incorporate conversation about existential philosophy, phenomenology, the work of Hubert Dreyfus, filmmaking, and the Bombay Beach Biennale. I will then read the questions and responses on my podcast. Thank you. So now ChatGPT is doing the work, but it's also like creating my prompts. I do think there's a new art form that's been born, which is prompt writing, whether it's for language. I haven't started reading it, just so you know. I think there's a new art form being born, which is prompt writing. I didn't even know what a prompt was a few months ago. Now I'm here sitting trying to come up with the cleverest prompts to get the most interesting output from ChatGPT. So it's become a new form of creativity. So like a DJ made a new form of creativity from the record. The record was designed for passive listening of music, just sitting back. I don't think in his wildest imagination, the inventor of the record could have imagined a DJ scratching two records at the same time. I think there's a similar thing here. When I built the sub club in Bombay Beach, I created posters using Midjourney and created a very unique physical space that used this as a tool in a way that I don't think the creators would have imagined, or maybe they could have, it doesn't matter. But I'm just saying there's like a real creative new use. And I think there's going to be new skills developed and new creative utterances through the interaction with the ChatGPT. Hopefully this is one humble contribution to it, this very podcast right now. I've never done one alone. And now because of ChatGPT, I'm feeling inspired to create a podcast without another person here, which I think is of some value because I'm alone. So it's a good time to be making a podcast. Okay, so ChatGPT acting as Tao Ruspoli says, "Welcome back to Being in the World, a podcast that delves into philosophy, art, and the human experience. I'm your host, Tao Ruspoli. Today, we continue our conversation with ChatGPT, a cutting-edge AI language model, discussing topics such as existential philosophy, phenomenology, the work of Hubert Dreyfus, filmmaking, and the Bombay Beach Biennale. Let's dive right in." So it wrote a good introduction. I think better than I would have, to be honest. In the Tao Ruspoli, in the realm of existential philosophy, we often explore the ideas of authenticity and individualism. How do you think AI, particularly LLMs like yourself, can contribute or potentially detract from these aspects of human experience? And ChatGPT says, the impact of AI on authenticity and individualism depends on how we use and interact with these technologies. AI can contribute to authenticity by empowering individuals with information, resources, and novel perspectives that can help them better understand themselves and the world. However, over-reliance on AI or a tendency to substitute AI-generated opinions for one's own could detract from individualism and genuine self-expression. To strike a balance, it's essential to view AI as a tool to enhance rather than to replace the human experience. Tao Ruspoli, not really Tao Ruspoli. ChatGPT, pretending it's Tao Ruspoli, says, phenomenology is a branch of philosophy that seeks to understand human experience and consciousness from a first-person perspective. How can AI, which lacks direct experience, contribute to the study and understanding of phenomenology? ChatGPT, as ChatGPT. Although AI doesn't possess direct experience, it can assist in the study of phenomenology by providing researchers with valuable tools for organizing, analyzing, and synthesizing complex data. AI can help identify patterns, trends, and connections in philosophical texts, uncovering new insights and facilitating interdisciplinary collaboration. Additionally, AI-generated simulations and virtual environments could enable researchers to explore different aspects of human experience, deepening our understanding of phenomenology. ChatGPT, as Tao Ruspoli, says, Hubert Dreyfus was a prominent philosopher known for his critique of AI and his work on existentialism and phenomenology. It didn't mention that he was also my professor, but he was. What do you think Dreyfus would make of LLMs like yourself? And how do you see his ideas as relevant in the current AI landscape? That's a really good question. I wish I'd come up with it myself. ChatGPT, as ChatGPT says, Hubert Dreyfus was skeptical of the ability of AI to fully replicate human intelligence, emphasizing the importance of embodied experience and situated knowledge. While LLMs have made significant progress in language understanding and generation, they still lack the rich embodied experience that Dreyfus considered central to human cognition. Dreyfus's ideas remain relevant as a reminder that AI should complement rather than replace human intelligence, and that it's crucial to consider the role of embodiment and context in the development of more advanced AI systems. ChatGPT as Tao Ruspoli. As a filmmaker, I'm fascinated by the potential, but I'm fascinated by the power of storytelling. How do you envision AI's role in the future of filmmaking? And can AI-generated stories ever truly capture the depth and complexity of human emotions and experiences? ChatGPT. AI has the potential to play a significant role in the future of filmmaking, providing filmmakers with tools for enhancing creativity, streamlining production processes, and personalizing content for audiences. AI-generated stories can offer fresh ideas, novel perspectives, and unique narrative structures. However, it is important to recognize that AI-generated stories may lack the emotional depth and nuanced understanding of the human condition that comes from lived experience. AI should be seen as a collaborative partner in storytelling, with human creators remaining at the helm, guiding the narrative and infusing it with emotional depth and authenticity. And then ChatGPT as me says, the Bombay Beach Biennale is an annual art festival that transforms the abandoned landscape of Bombay Beach into a creative playground. How may AI contribute to events like, and then it stopped. So then I said, go on. And AI said, events like the Bombay Beach Biennale. And do you think AI-generated art can provoke the same depth of emotion and thought as human-created art? And ChatGPT said, AI can contribute to events like the Bombay Beach Biennale by offering artists new tools and techniques for creating and showcasing their work, as well as facilitating unique collaboration between human and machine creativity. AI-generated art has the potential to provoke emotions and stimulate thought by presenting novel perspectives and challenging our understanding of the creative process. However, it's essential to acknowledge that AI-generated art may not always possess the same depth of emotion and personal connection that comes from human created art, which is often rooted in an artist's individual experiences, beliefs, and emotions. The fusion of human and AI creativity could lead to exciting new artistic expressions that capture the best of both worlds, enriching our understanding of art and its role in society. As an aside, I was listening to Ben Gortzel talking about the potential for creativity of LLMs, and he was saying that, if you fed all the music up to the year 1900 to an LLM, you could ask it, will you mix, Mozart with some African, songs? And it would do something like that. It would follow the instruction in an interesting and creative way. But would it ever create jazz that came after 1900? He thinks, and I concur, not. And, Heidegger had this idea of human beings' highest calling is to disclose new worlds. So the world of jazz, as Mark Rathall says in Being in the World in my film, was not hiding in the medieval ages. It had to come new by new creative artists. And the artists who kind of were this highest form of human being when they disclosed or opened up the world of jazz. Yes, out of ingredients that were in the culture. Yes, Western music and African music came together in the United States through a specific political situation like slavery that gave birth to blues and jazz. Were they in there in a way that a large language model could have predicted or created from scratch? Probably not. So we are yet at the place, we are far from a place where large language models or artificial intelligence of any kind can open up a new world. Maybe for now it can just blend the worlds that exist or the words that exist anew. And the other thing that I've been wondering about is language is so important to creating thought and what it is like to be human. Think about how much time you spend thinking words to yourself and how these words constitute thought. How hard would it be to have a simple thought without the words that exist to represent that thought? So the question is, it's seeming like words and language is enough to constitute a lot of what we think of as human thought and creativity. That's what these LLMs are showing, because the LLM doesn't have a body, doesn't exist in the world, and yet comes to the place of reasoning, of writing poetry, of engaging in conversation, but also of processing thoughts and turning them into new ones through language alone. So that makes me wonder, how constitutive of thought and of the human experience is language as a whole? And what is it like to feed a computer with all of language that's ever been written? And how is it that that gives birth to such a rich illusion of intelligence and of rationality and of reason? These are the thoughts that this type of new technology evokes in me. So I said, keep going, please. This is great, but it's too short. Make the length of the conversation as great as you are allowed to, please. So ChatGPT, as Tao Ruspoli says, the integration of AI in the world of education has been a topic of much debate. How can AI contribute to the teaching and learning of complex subjects, such as philosophy and art, while preserving the human touch that is so essential to these disciplines? Good question. Thank you, AI and me. ChatGPT responds as ChatGPT, saying AI has the potential to revolutionize education in various ways, including personalized learning, adaptive feedback, and enhanced access to educational resources. In teaching complex subjects like philosophy and art, AI can provide customized learning paths that adapt individual learners' needs and backgrounds, fostering a deeper understanding of the material. However, it's crucial to maintain a balance between AI-assisted learning and the human touch provided by educators. Teachers play a vital role in fostering critical thinking, inspiring curiosity, and facilitating meaningful discussions, which cannot be entirely replaced by AI. By combining the strengths of AI and human educators, we can create a more effective and engaging learning experience for students. Now, ChatGPT, as me, says, many people are concerned that as AI becomes more integrated into society, it may contribute to a loss of privacy and even lead to surveillance. What are your thoughts on this issue, and how can we ensure that AI is developed and implemented ethically with respect to privacy and surveillance concerns? Again, a good question that I wish I'd come up with on the first episode and didn't. So thanks again. ChatGPT, as ChatGPT says, privacy and surveillance concerns are legitimate issues in the age of AI. As AI systems become more pervasive, now I do think, as an aside, it's still a little boring, ChatGPT, and I apologize for that. I think we are not yet at the point where it genuinely surprises us or delights us. And, that's a good thing, maybe. It just lets us appreciate humans more. And I'm sure these asides are refreshing from reading, wrote, as much as I try and infuse the reading with personality. I understand it's probably a bit of a trudge. Is that the word I'm looking for? Is trudge a word? It's essential to establish clear ethical guidelines and regulatory frameworks to protect individual privacy and prevent the misuse of AI for surveillance purposes. Developers and policymakers should prioritize transparency, accountability, and public participation in the development and deployment of AI technologies, ensuring that AI systems are designed with privacy-preserving mechanisms such as anonymization and data minimization can help mitigate potential risks. Ultimately, a collaborative approach involving diverse stakeholders will be crucial in striking the right balance between leveraging AI's potential benefits and safeguarding individual privacy. AI, as Tao Ruspoli says, as AI-generated art becomes more prevalent, do you believe it will have a significant impact on the way we perceive and value art? Good question. Will it change our understanding of what it means to be an artist or the nature of the creative process? See, I like AI-generated me more than I like myself in some ways. Okay, ChatGPT, as ChatGPT says, AI-generated art has the potential to significantly impact our perception of art and the creative process. As AI art becomes more common, it can challenge traditional notions of authorship, originality, and the role of the artist. This shift may lead to a reevaluation of what we consider art and the criteria by which we judge its value. And we do that all the time, don't we? I mean, when filmmaking came out, nobody thought it would be art. When photography was invented, they thought it was a clever invention. No one thought it would be art. It took time and it took artists making it into art. Anyway, going on. As well as broadening our understanding of the creative process to include collaboration between humans and machines. However, it is important to remember that AI-generated art doesn't necessarily diminish the value of human-created art. I've been saying this a lot. Instead, it can be seen as an expansion of the creative landscape, offering new opportunities for artistic expression and exploration. The fusion of human and AI creativity can lead to innovative art forms that enrich our appreciation of artistic experience while still honoring the importance of human emotion, intuition, and experience in the creative process. I think, as an aside again, this is me speaking, I think this use of AI, of ChatGPT, is somewhat original. I don't think someone else would have elicited these exact words. And therefore, I feel that this interaction between me and the AI is an original contribution, humble contribution, but an original one to the scope of human knowledge and creativity. Okay, so ChatGPT, as Tao Ruspoli says, lastly, let's discuss the potential impact of AI on human relationships and communication. How do you think the increasing use of AI, particularly LLMs, will affect the way we connect with each other? And what can we do to ensure that our reliance on AI doesn't undermine the quality of our interpersonal connections? And ChatGPT, as ChatGPT says, the increasing use of AI, including LLMs, can have both positive and negative impacts on human relationships and communication. On the one hand, AI can facilitate communication by breaking down language barriers, offering personalized recommendations, and enhancing access to information. These advances can lead to deeper understanding and stronger connections among people from diverse backgrounds, blah, 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 a little bit boring. On the other hand, over-reliance on AI or communication may lead to decline in the quality of interpersonal connections. I was getting a little bored with this tone, so I said, let's end on a humorous note. Write a good joke about all of the above that could make for an entertaining end to our podcast. And ChatGPT, as Tao Ruspoli says, okay, here's a joke to wrap up our conversation. Why did the AI-powered philosopher paint an abstract work of art? Because it was trying to find the meaning of life. And meaning is in parentheses and has a dash between mean and ing. And I said, I don't get it. Please explain the joke and why you think it's funny. And ChatGPT said, my apologies if the joke didn't land as intended. The joke is a play on words combining themes of AI, philosophy, and art that we are discussing during our conversation. The word meaning is a pun with mean, referring to an average or central value in mathematics, which could be seen as a nod to AI's computational nature. The phrase meaning of life is a philosophical concept often explored in existential discussions. The joke attempts to humorously illustrate how an AI-powered philosopher might approach the search for meaning of life through an abstract work of art, blending these diverse themes in a lighthearted way. Okay, pretty good. However, humor can be subjective, and I understand if this joke did not resonate with everyone. I appreciate your feedback and will strive to improve my humor generation in the future. I said, okay, try another joke, picking on the themes of our conversation. Okay, and ChatGPT, as Tao Ruspoli says, oh, right, let's give it another shot. Why did the AI refuse to become an artist's apprentice? Because it couldn't brush off its existential crisis. I said, why are you putting the unfunny jokes in my mouth? I want you to own the jokes. Make them from ChatGPT, not from me. ChatGPT said, my apologies for the confusion. Here's a joke from me, ChatGPT. Why did the AI cross the road of existential philosophy? To help humans find their way to the other Sartre. Pretty good. Not bad. I hope ChatGPT 5 is funnier, though, I said. And ChatGPT said, thank you for your feedback. As AI continues to evolve, we aim to improve in various aspects, including humor generation. I hope that future versions like ChatGPT 5 will indeed provide you with even better and funnier jokes. In the meantime, I appreciate your understanding and patience as we strive to refine our language models. And that's the end. So that's part 2 of my podcast on ChatGPT. And I do very much hope you enjoyed it. do leave your comments below. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe and comment, and also recommend to your friends. And I'll see you in a future episode. Thanks for listening, and goodbye for now.